Like in most sports, most of the money that tennis players make comes through sponsorship. In tennis, it's predominantly watch sponsors like Rolex. In this video, we're going to check the watches of some of the best players ever. And without further ado, let's look at some of the most unique and most expensive watches in tennis history. Tennis has been around for over 100 years now and has become one of the most unique ball sports ever. Over the last decades, it has gotten more and more attention, which inevitably brings more money and more sponsors to the big tournaments, with Rolex as one of the biggest sponsors. Rolex sponsors all 4 Grand Slams and some of the most iconic players ever. These players often actually play with a Rolex on their wrist, even though Rolex doesn't even make watches for use while playing tennis. Most of these watches are just good looking and have a function to show the time. Roger Federer is one of the most successful players ever. He managed to win Wimbledon for the first time when he was just 21 years old. After his first Grand Slam, he won 19 more and thus a grand total of 20 Grand Slams titles. When he won his 15th Grand Slam, he wore a Rolex Datejust. That's why the Rolex Datejust is a special watch for him. A Rolex Datejust costs around $10,000. That's a tiny amount compared to the next watches on this list. Alexander Zverev. Zverev is probably the tennis player with the most talent ever. He was only 19 years old when he was sponsored by Richard Mille. Most of the watches in this list are not very practical for playing tennis, except for Richard Mille, which is a watch brand that makes very complicated watches with many different functions, some of which are not perfect on your wrist for while playing tennis. For Richard Mille, it's very cool to see how they sponsored Zverev when he was only 19 years old. His first watch was an RM2701. That's also the first watch of Rafael Nadal, but we'll discuss him later. The RM2701 costs around $800,000, and it won't even help him win against Nadal. Zverev and Nadal had a very entertaining tennis match in Roland Garros. Unfortunately, Zverev got injured mid-game and had to stop. Enough of men tennis players' watches. Let's look at Serena Williams' watch game. I hope it's as good as her tennis game, because in terms of winning, Serena Williams is without a doubt the best female tennis player that ever existed, with a deadly straight serves and an extremely powerful forehand. She is sponsored by Audemars Piguet, a Swiss watch brand also known by the name AP. AP has lots of variety in their watches, but they don't particularly have sports watches. But they do make incredible watches that fit Serena Williams as an ambassador perfectly. The first watch costs as much as a house. It's the AP Royal Oak Perpetual Calendar Openworked in black ceramic, which costs around $500,000. That's cheap compared to the next watch we are looking at. Only a few tennis players are perfect enough to wear a Richard Mille while playing tennis. The king of clay, Rafael Nadal, can create so much spin, even a whirlpool isn't comparable. And that's why Rafael Nadal got sponsored and got many collaborations with Richard Mille and created some insane watches. Let's start with the most recent collaboration, where the RM2704 came alive. This watch was created for the 10th anniversary of the partnership between Rafael Nadal and Richard Mille. It was produced in a limited stock of only 50 pieces and it weighs only 30 grams. Can you believe that a watch weighs less than all the cookies you eat in a day? What is even more unbelievable is the price of the watch.
How much is it?
This watch is going to set you back more than $2.5 million.
You can't be serious, man. You cannot be serious!
That's the same price as 10 Lamborghinis. It's so much, even I can't afford one. Wow, what a way to end the video. $2.5 million for a watch. I hope he doesn't break it while playing tennis. Anyway, enough tennis for today. This is the end of the video and thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe and leave a comment on who and what you want to see next. Until next time, bye bye.